Okay, can we start now? Well, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable the Speaker of DJBC. Thank you for having us here. And then Honorable the President of CEEC, Bu Tunjung, and all honorable ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 14th Customs and Excise English Club talk with theme Be Speak Like a Star. First of all, let us praise to the Almighty God, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, for giving us His blessing so that we can gather here with a healthy condition. And then before we start this event, let me introduce the organizing committee for today's event. Me, Inti Briliani, from the Directorate of International and Public Affairs as the event organizer, as the coordinator, and then as the moderator for today's event is Mr. Muhammad Haikal from the Directorate of Internal Compliance. And then as for the host is Mr. Didit from the Directorate of Revenue and Strategic Planning. And then as the co-host is Mr. Randy from the Directorate of KBP. And as for the illustrator is Miss Dina Masrura from the Directorate of Audit. Well, I thank you all for all of you who have joined in this talk, and I hope that you can invite more people here to join us here. Thank you, and now I want to give the floor to the moderator, Mr. Muhammad Haikal. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Inti. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, the honorable member of Customs English Customs and Excise Community, or CEEC. My name is Muhammad Haikal. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Muhammad Haikal. I'm from Directorate of Internal Compliance, from Subdirectorate of Performance Management, who in charge of KPIs, or I'm your KPI guy. Today, this afternoon, I will lead and guide you all through the 14th inspirational talks, How to Speak Like a Star, being the theme of this talk, which means that we have to be comfortable and really enjoy the session to speak like a star. But first and foremost, before we start, as for today, the pandemic is still rampant across our country. Let us pray for a moment for the people who have lost their lives through this pandemic, for the people who is still coping with the sickness of the COVID-19. Hope they can cope and hope they're getting back on their feet very soon. Amen. So as for today, we have our really special speaker, Miss Effie Dia Indrawati from Ministry of Finance Training Facilities. So before we start, can Mr. Didit share the CV of Miss Effie? Miss Effie Dia Indrawati, born in Malang, 29th June 1972. As for today, is Widya Iswara Madya in Finance Education and Training, Ministry of Finance, one of the highest regards of Echelon 1 in Ministry of Finance. As for the professional excellence summary, I think we already know that Miss Effie Dia Indrawati is experienced in teaching with different adults and children from various backgrounds, which means that if you can teach children, you basically can teach everyone, since teaching children is one of the hardest thing to do in our lives. And then Miss Effie have provided training for various training centers in the Ministry of Finance, also designed and conducted various ESP classes, or English for Special Purpose, on specialized topics such as English for banking, customs, accounting, treasury, state assets, hotel and tourism, etc. Which means that Miss Effie is the perfect speaker for this theme, how to speak like a star. And then for the publication, Miss Effie have already created a lot of stuff regarding of English speaking, such as writing module for DTU General English in 2011, and then reading module for DTU General English in 2012, and also creating English for Customs in 2018, English speaking in 2019, and also communication for civil servant, the guidelines for how to communicate as civil servant in 2020. As for the writing activities apart from the published publication, Miss Effie has already write some stuff about the experience in Netherlands, and then the business letters, how to write business letters, and also about why I love teaching reading at Ministry of Finance, which means Miss Effie is already really expert on the public speaking, especially how to speak like a star as the theme for today. I think that's all for the curriculum vitae of Miss Effie Dianjawati, and maybe it's time for us to dive deep into the topic, how to speak like a star. Sit back, relax, enjoy, bring some warm drinks, bring some chips just to enjoy, since how to speak like a star, it means that you have to be comfortable in your position and to be enjoyed in this session. And before we start the session, I will again remind you that there are polls going in this session. The poll is, we have to choose one of the most or main factors on why are we afraid or fear the most to speak English. You can choose one of the factors from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 factors that are already existed in the polls. And without further ado, the stage and the screen are yours, Miss Effie.
Thank you very much, Haika, for the nice opening introduction. Kind of bit, embarrassed with, reading my CV. But okay, let me begin by start my screen sharing first. Okay, sorry. All right, yeah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, thank you very much for the organizing committee and CEEC, for inviting me to have me for having me today for your speaker. So probably you are tricked maybe by this title. I just try to make it interesting so that people are willing to come actually. But STAR is something special. It is acronym actually, but you will find out later on with my presentation. So my name is Effie Dianjawati. I'm a trainer, but I prefer to call myself a teacher because I've been teaching for probably now more than 25 years. So it is long before even I pay service for this Ministry of Finance actually. So yeah, it's correct that I've been teaching for maybe more than my years of service in Ministry of Finance, but I think speaking is still my my puzzle, my mystery. That's why I choose this topic. So because communication skills for me is like a journey, a lifelong education to me. Speaking especially, right? This is very important, especially for our personal success, our social success, and also our professional success. Yeah. Becoming a star speaker has been my dream until today. I don't even consider myself as a very influential speaker. No, I just want to be a better speaker each day by learning and watching and trying to imitate, copying other notorious speakers here. So I learned a lot actually. From influential speakers, both from this country, Indonesia, from Choki Siotang, Rebecca Tumewu, even Panji, right? From YouTube, especially, right? From Carl Reynolds, Michelle Obama, for example, and Dramedia, David Lim, and so on here. So actually, I have this dream of becoming a star speaker, and so I want to share what I learned from my own experience. Yeah. from my teaching experience as well, and also from others that I have already learned. Hope that it will help me to reach my dream someday, yeah, because I'm still in the journey of it. And also probably it could inspire you all to try to become a star speaker here, because it is so important now in our life. So for my presentation will be divided with this 4 sections here. So I'm gonna start with general thing first. I want to talk about the basic concept so that we can have shared understanding of these speaking skills actually. So I will come next to the defining the skill, and then my tips here for English speaking based on my own experience. And then the guideline is actually like measurable action as principle that you can take, probably taken from several studies that I have already made. Okay, so without further prolong your time here. So here's the thing here. I think you have already heard Haji pop-up ads, yeah, on YouTube here. That talking, it's just not just talking, right? Your speaking can drive people, can move people. Here I put, this is Ben Johnson saying, I quote from that, to speak and to speak well are 2 different things. Yes, it is. Because the second has, quality, right? To speak well here. And Ben Johnson said, a fool can talk, but a wise man speaks. But to me, for myself here, I think it's just the same, talking and speaking. But there is maybe a slight difference here. Talking is casual, less formal. Therefore, it is relational and conversational, like what we have today. We are going to have talk, and we are going to discuss more, right? And speaking is more formal, and most of the time it is so informative here. So I just copy definition from some experts here, talking about the definition of speaking here. Speaking is the process of building and sharing meaning through the use of verbal and non-verbal symbols in a variety of contexts, by Chenet, 1998 here. If you see this definition, you see that there's a process of sharing meaning, so exchanging messages, yeah, and through the use of verbal and non-verbal symbols. So it takes 2 in your speaking, actually, verbal and non-verbal. And in a variety of contexts, that means certain environments, there are certain, conditions, yeah, or situation for your speaking. If I move on next to the second definition by Jeremy Harmer in 2004, Jeremy Harmer is a very notorious, teacher, trainer, yeah, around the world here. So speaking is a productive skill in language learning. So an action of conveying information or expressing one's thought and feeling in spoken language to communicate easier. So productive skill, everybody, if you still remember, I see that some of the participants here are from my prior class, yeah, Mas Iswan behind. So LL, yeah, language learning here. There are 4, right, in all English learning: listening, reading, speaking, and writing. There are receptive and productive skill, and speaking is the oral production here. It is conveying information and expressing one's thoughts and feelings. So you're speaking, actually, you convey something, your feeling, your thinking, yeah, to be able to communicate well here. That is the essence of speaking, actually, right? So you have certain information, you have certain ways of, sharing things, sharing your thinking, your opinion, your feelings, yeah, in your speaking. So that we come to the next year. I put it a picture from Google actually. This is very common in public speaking, right? 3 V's of speaking: verbal, vocal, visual. And if you once write a book by Albert Mehrabian, yeah, Silent Messages, there is like a kind of, I call that fixed ratio, yeah, like proportion. Like verbal is 7%, or vocal is 38%, and the greater part is 55% is visual. But to me, as I am a language teacher and English teacher here, to me, all these 3 are important and given the same proportion. So your words spoken is not only 77%, but these 3, if you divide it by 3, of course, this is like 33.3 something %, right? It is equal proportion to me. Otherwise, I don't have the need to teach my students grammar, for example, or pronunciation, or teaching vocabulary, for example, right? So I think these three are important, and for our speaking to that, probably I will focus more on verbal and vocal, so the range and credibility of voice. But of course, I will talk a little bit about visual, because this is also important, especially in professional setting, yeah, in business setting. So to me, this is really important in speaking. So in your speaking, actually, especially like speaking to public, speaking in your workplace here, you know, integrate these three, verbal, vocal, visual, into your speaking ability here. So that we come to speaking skills here. Yeah. So, you know, skills. Have you ever heard the word competence, right? Competency, competence. So competency consists of three things, right? KSA, knowledge, skills, and attitude here. So yeah, skills. For me, skills are three parts here. It has three parts. The why to speak, and why speaking, what to speak and how to speak here. For me, those three are important to make somebody competent or able to do things like, you know, speaking well or effectively here. So okay, this is the second part of my presentation. So why we speak, everybody? As you listen from my prior definition here, this is the exchange of messages, right? Exchange of meanings through verbal and non-verbal. But, you know, messages are exchanged for many purposes, right? So we have purpose in speaking. So I just copied this from Joseph DeVito book, a communication book here. So there are five purposes of speaking here. First off, this is to learn, to relate, to influence, to play, and to help. I hope you are able to define this here. Yeah. We speak, sometimes we want to learn here. We want to better understand the external world surrounding us, like an object, an event, other people. But sometimes we can speak to understand ourselves, right? This is one purpose here. The second is to relate here. Yeah, I can say that it is what we need in life, right? We react and respond to each other, to people, as we are social beings. So we want to, you know, have a good relationship with our, you know, our partner in speaking, right? So it is relational. So you want to maintain a good relationship. I mean, like you share friendship or maybe love with your partner of speaking. The next is to influence here. You know, to influence, yeah. You influence, you try to affect the attitude of or behavior of others with your speaking. This is very common in campaign, right? Sometimes in teaching, in public speaking too, right? We speak sometimes to play, right? Because it is needed too in our life. Entertainment, right? It's fun to play, right? For example, you speak to tell stories, right? You tell jokes here. Yes, actually kind of to balance your mind with the seriousness around us here, yeah? Every day we are so serious, you know, sometimes we speak to, you know, to break the ice, right? And then, yeah, the last is to help here. I think it is for professional function, I guess. This is for therapists, for example, yeah? You speak to help people, like a counselor, lawyer, doctor, nurse, consultant, teacher too. Sometimes they speak to help people. So this is reason to speak. Why I put this? Well, why we speak here? Because that will be, you know, related to the attitude of speaking. But we come before we come to that. So of course, from the definition, what to speak here? Of course, this is the message, right? The content, the verbal or the non-verbal messages that we want to say to other people. But it takes the content in various forms, right? It can be synchronous, face-to-face, directly. It can be through asynchronous, maybe later on, recorded, for example. It can be varied form, yeah. So many forms, like through media, like now we are speaking with Zoom conference. I think other way to communicate, right? The thing is, what I want to put here, the nature of what we speak is transactional and relational. This is true for making, speaking in public or making conversation here. It is not linear, yeah, as opposed to transactional. It's two-way. So you can be the speaker, you can be the listener, that there is a process here, each other, mutual, right? And relational, because it will affect the relationship. I hope you can catch my explanation, but I will come to the example later on here. So dealing with what we speak here, of course, you choose or you plan before you speak, right? So here I put it, think, brainstorm, research, choose or plan your speaking, because a wise man speaks, right? So we speak with certain purposes. Of course, we have to think about what we are going to say before we speak here. So this is a common, the next is organize your speaking. What we are going to speak is common, very common in all, presentation, for example, or public speaking, the IBC. Anybody still remember what is IBC? Introduction, body, and closing organization. It is the standard form, yeah, in presentation. But in any kind of speaking, whatever purposes it is, you have to figure out or plan or think before you speak. That's why speaking is purposeful. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I have to continue to the next year. Now, this is the point of my presentation here. So, how to speak like a star here? It's not just like giving rating 5-star speaker or not, but actually STAR is an acronym of situation, task, attitude, and result. We are going to discuss this one by one. Right. So first, here. So situation here. When we talk about situation, of course, we deal with time, person, and specific place too. Right. For example, for time here, is it office hour, business hour, right? Like right now, it's business hour. Is it a grieving time? Is it the right time to speak that thing in a grieving time or sad moments? Or is it party time? How you should say or how you should, talk in a party time situation, right? Place is like, speaking at work, of course, going to be different from speaking at home, speaking at a meeting, speaking at public places. It needs certain language, yeah. And especially speaking with certain person or people here, you speak with your boss, of course, the language will be different, right? You speak with colleagues, with your friends here. I consider my friends here are, equal here. You are my colleagues. So my language is, I designed it, I intended speaking like this here. You talk to kids differently, right? You talk to children differently. You talk to strangers also differently, right? You talk to your neighbors differently. Here in the picture, I put a continuum here. There is an arrow to the right and to the left here. If you see, the more we go to the arrow, the more we go to the right, it is getting more and more interpersonal. And to the left here, it's getting more impersonal. We are now here, we are work colleagues. I consider you are all my friends. I am in the middle here. So if you are from my speaking class, you probably remember register. Register is the certain language you use in certain situation. Yeah. So you have to have language register awareness. The way you speak to your daughter, your father, your family member is going to be different from your, for example, your doctor or your neighbors. So the message, the content is going to be, according to the situation as well, right? So what my point is, here talking about situation, what you need is sensitivity to situation, to situation and differences. Because you see all the, continuum picture here. This is different people, right? And then, this is different way of communicating the right is more interpersonal, more intimate, yeah, more closer, yeah. Impersonal, there is distance here. You are getting more and more formal. If I put it the next year, this is example of language register awareness here. So we are in between neutral, yeah. I just use my neutral language, but sometimes I just in some part I kind of informal because I think you are my friends here. We are buddies, right? So I say it is all right, my friends. It's common, it's neutral, so it can be acceptable for less formal and even formal one here. So, but I'm not going to call you dudes unless you are my buddies, very close buddies. Not for today. I mean, maybe tomorrow, 3 days after this, we have become buddies. Yeah. I don't call you gals. It's to casual, but because this is recorded also, right? Later on when we watch this, it's going to be fun here. As you see here, the language register in the middle is so neutral. It's in between, right? To the right here is informal. In a more intimate relationship, you use more slangs, right? Your specific language for your own community here. But the more to the left here, yeah, left, formal, right? And it's common in meetings, business meetings, presentation, formal presentation. This morning, I just joined the SDI IMF meeting with IMF. So formal and even very formal. I put it on the left is rigid. Rigid is like frozen. I mean, it's given. I mean, standard pattern like that. You just take it as it is and use that in for example, in business writing or correspondence and so on. There are also frozen, actually frozen. Yeah, you just cannot change that. Yeah, maybe in religious book, law book, and so on. You just take it as it is. But the thing is, you have to have sensitivity. I call that, yeah, before, with differences here. So speaking, it's not just, you talk, you speak out your mind, but you have to think about situation first. Yeah. Okay. If you have questions, you have to keep that in mind. Yeah? You can ask that in the question and answer later on. I will move on next here. Task here. Of course, task depends on the purpose and it defines the necessary attitude in your speaking. Like I mentioned before, to learn here. When you speak to learn something, you want to understand something better or somebody better, I think you need to speak it clearly, right? The attitude here. You need to make it systematically. You need to organize that in an organized way, right? So you have to, for example, define, describe, explain, clarify many things. There are, tasks in what is it, demanded on you, right? And to relate to here, because you want to make a good relationship with somebody else, with other people, you need to probably speak confidently, right? Or maybe nicely, positively, enthusiastically, or passionately, right? If you want to influence people, what do you think, guys? Convincingly, right? You have to speak that convincingly. So how to make it convincingly could be with proof like data, statistic, example, and so on here. So kind of, there are more like persuasive speaking. You have to make it persuasively, right? Or of course in a nice manner, politely or nicely, because sometimes you don't have the feeling like I hate this presenter. He's like, obnoxious person, and then you have a grudge while listening, probably sometimes, yeah. There are so many instances when I join a presentation, the speaker really not make me as audience comfortable, yeah, listening to the speaker. I don't know, yeah, we can, evaluate or assess that with speaking, checklist here. But all right, to play here, what do you think when you want to, entertain yourself or entertain other people? I think you have to be funny, for example, witty, humorously, and so on, right? Or nicely, and so on. So task depends on the purpose, of course. To help too, right? Helping people, you have to do it thoughtfully, yeah, with care, with seriousness here. I think sincere, sincere, like, yeah, you are willing to help people, honestly, right? Nicely too. I don't want to categorize actually all those qualities, attitudes are needed in all these purposes. So I think I can consider, so here in the next slide. So clearly, thoughtfully, convincingly, confidently, passionately, persuasively, it all, you know, blended in many processes. The point is, just be nice. I think nice people and positive people are welcome in many situations, in many environments. And the thing is that what I need to add here is about mindfulness. You know, mindful, everybody. Mindful is like, you know, conscious. In a mindful state, you are conscious of your reason for thinking or for speaking in a particular way. There are choices here actually, and you choose to be a mindful person. You are fully aware of available choices ahead of you, yeah. Because sometimes somebody can choose to become, you know, better person, right? I call that the opposite of mindfulness is mindlessness. Doesn't really aware of what he is speaking, yeah. So lack of conscious or lack of awareness here, I think, yeah, could be a bad character for somebody, right? So you have to be very, very thoughtful. Why you say, may I use your pen? Can I use your pen? Is the same thing, but both have, you know, a different impact to your listener too, right? Both are polite, but with wrong situation, with wrong mindfulness here, then it's going to be bad for your relation, for example. So, but we can discuss that further in our Q&A later on. So, S, T, A, and R here. Okay, this is still part 2 of my presentation. Don't worry. So, my question is, I want you guys to, you know, share me your thinking, your thought. What result you expect from a speaker? 3 words beginning with letter E. Probably you can use annotate, you know, button, yeah. You can type it here in any blank spaces here. To you, 3E of speaking is like what? You can use a noun, you can use an adjective, like a teacher, yeah, testing. It is not a test actually. I just want to have a share of your thinking. What do you think of, you know, a good or a star speaker to you? 3 qualities, but it gotta be beginning with letter E. Maybe sorry. You can use annotate button. For example, I don't know. What do you think? I prefer this word. Now I want to have, you know, a share from anyone else here. 1 E from me is this one. I'm waiting for, you know, at least several people try to type. You don't have to speak, but you type here. This is I have 3 actually, I have selected, but I want to hear from people here. Can they, Ms. Haika, yeah, everybody can use their, you know, annotated button, right? Okay. Come on, guys. Anything, you can figure out any words begin with letter E, actually. There are so many words begin with letter E. My name begin with letter E, yeah, by the way. Don't think it too seriously. Come on, just, you know. It can be a noun. It can be an adjective. It can be Mas Didit is smiling. He's thinking so hard, I guess. Miss Tunju, even moderator can type as many as possible. I don't limit you actually 3. You can have 10 if you want to.
Yeah, I have typed the enthusiast.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
In the chat or sorry?
Yeah, in the chat.
Oh, I asked you. I don't check the
typed.
Can you read the chat for me, Mas Haikal? What please?
We already have several answers, actually, ma'am.
Okay.
First, from the president, enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm. Then?
And then from Miss Daisy, explanation.
Explanation. Yeah.
And we have from Mr. Ikhwan, expression.
Expressions, yeah. I agree with that too. Expression, visual, yeah.
Yeah.
You can see
and
it.
then from Mr. Didit and Mr. Sandri, emotion.
Emotion, yes.
Emotion. And then from Miss Inti, effective.
Effective, yes.
And then from me,
a lot here. Okay. All right. Thank you for your sharing, people. Okay, I was just erase this. Okay. Yeah, it's already in the next slide, actually. This is my choice because what you expect from a star speaker are plenty basing on your own need also, right? This is for me. What is result, actually, everybody? It's like the effect, right? The impact of your speaking. I call that impactful speaking. To me, a good speaker, he can create impact to the listener or somebody, becoming the partner in speaking here. To me, there are 3 things here. Effectiveness is, is like flowing, so easily, fluently probably, or without too many pauses or without too many, stopping, right? And enthusiasm. So this is what I observed from star speakers in my view, like, probably Oprah Winfrey, for example, Simon Sinek, David Lim, and so on and so forth. I just watch too many people here, yeah. But the similarities that I see from them is their effectiveness. They are able to convey their message, like, I just got the presentation information, for example, I got the entertainment, I got the many things they plan or they intend to give to us as the audience here. And then they are so easily, speaking like, it's flowing, yeah. So it's like, smooth flow of rivers, I think, so easily, yeah. And with energy, with enthusiasm. So I think I like it. So this can be everybody, your own target, probably, the result that you intended in your speaking skill, because everybody have their own strength and weakness. Actually, you have to figure out what is the result of my speaking by thinking about why I developed my speaking skill here. So this is, I copy from a book by Jeremy Harmer, actually. Salient features of speaking. Salient, very important. Yeah, this is very textbook language. So according to Harmer, said that pleasing voice. I think pleasing, pleasing, right? So catchy, and then the tempo is nice, not too fast, not too slow, and yeah, the intonation is just nice, and then you can catch that so easily. Yeah. When I join the international seminar, webinar, sometimes I have, speaker with the very flat and monotonous, voice. I think there's no emotion in his speaking, he's speaking like a robot, and sometimes it just drives you nuts and crazy, right, as a, listener here. And I like it, the next Jeremy Harmer said that it's friendly or interactive manner. I think this applies for public speaking and also in conversational speaking, relational speaking. And also next is clarity of language. the language is clear, probably the choice of word is okay, the grammar is nice or good, not bad, yeah. And intelligibility of thought and ideas. The ideas are clearly understood, able to be comprehended, or you are able to understand that ideas so easily here. And this, I put it, can be your evaluation checklist, everyone. So what is your project to become a star speaker? Are you going to work on to all this, or you have already got some of this and I just need to work on my clarity of language, or you are still have to work with all these four features here? So the question is returned to you, actually, as you are the one who can, you know, assess your own, you know, ability, your skill here. All right, so to me, I still have to work on all of this, because to me, speaking is just, you know, every day I still have a lot to learn. When I just you know, today is also a learning experience for me too. That's why I'm so excited with this invitation, right? Speaking right here. So this is also, after this, there is a, you know, reflection for me. Yeah, I have to evaluate my speaking skill actually after this. So, you know, even for me, I still need, yeah, to continue, yeah, working on my skills. So this is result. Yeah. That brings us to, this is the third part. Do I still have time, Mr. Haikal? Mas Haikal, if you want to cut me at any time, it's fine actually, yeah. Okay, I want to continue with, this is tips. Now, this is it. Tips, this is based on what I experienced, just 3. But of course, you have to invest time and patience to it, yeah? So you have, number 1, balance your receptive and productive skills. Receptive skills, reading, listening. So you have to ask yourself, how much time do I spend every day, daily, for reading and listening English, right? And then you have to balance that with production. Can be written or oral, because writing can help you also to your speaking skill. That's why I, you know, write too, right? This is actually trying to balance my 4 English skills integratedly here. So yeah, you have to balance that. You just cannot, you know, I just like speaking, I don't need to listen, right? It's impossible. Remember when we were kids, when we were babies, we start beginning to learn speaking by listening to our environment. And then we try to imitate, reproduce, and production later on, right? So it gotta be balanced. Like it or not, you have to invest your time for receptive skill, and then invest time for production. Yeah. Works for me, because until now I'm still keep up, you know, at least 50% of what I have already accomplished in my, you know, maybe university education, probably. Until now I still have it. Yeah. Some of my friends who do not really use English, they have just lost, you know, maybe a lot here to some extent, their, you know, English skills, but I still have it until today. Yeah. Okay, next is using native speakers sources. Yeah, it's important because it is a foreign language. It is not our own language, right? So of course you have to use native speaker sources. Why? To have a very good production or reproduction of what you have already input in your skill here. So I like it. I always suggest my students to find, you know, partner for chatting, yeah, bully, yeah, or you just do other thing like singing song, English songs, yeah, or maybe duet with bully, for example. Anything fun for you to practice with speaking, but you need to listen to native speaker speaking, watch movie, foreign movies, yeah, subtitle all in English too. Why? Because you need a native speaker as your prompter, yeah. Especially when it is a direct, you know, communication, like direct presentation to, you know, audience. Some of them are native speaker, or conversation with native speaker. As a prompter, the native speaker can remind you what to say next, or just help you to say the words, yeah, how to say something in English. That's happened a lot to me, and even until now, when I just forget what to say. What is it? I explain, and my friend, showed me, this is the word. Yeah, I got a lot of help from my native speaker friends here. And native speaker can be your participant in speaking, like partner in discussion. I think it's nice because you share thoughts, yeah, different culture, different point of view, I guess. Yeah, and also they can provide you feedback, right? Give them their opinion, give them their evaluation to you, yeah, in anything, whether you are clearly understood or not, whether you are speaking correctly or not, and so on. Yeah, it is a mandatory, I think. And then do it every day, regular basis. Yeah, for me, I call that everyday English. So do it. Yeah, I think English is not uncommon. It is a common thing right now compared to my era back then when I was younger. Getting English sources are so hard and so difficult, but today now with internet, everything is so possible. We don't even really need to have special teacher, right? We just need partner, native speaker one to speak with, right? So do it every day. This is what I do. So number one teacher for me is YouTube, of course, like you all do. Listening to SoundCloud and Spotify sometimes for talk and speeches, motivational speech. I think this is so amazing. I mean, listening to them, speaking clearly to us and give us some idea. Yeah, I kind of, immerse. Immerse everybody. Immersion. Immerse is like, you plunge into a situation and then you are totally all surrounded. Yeah, that you can even dream or you can think in your mind using English. I think it has become your habit here. So for my production, I like singing. Yeah, so it's Mule, of course. So I just play YouTube and then sing along with the music. You don't have to be like a very serious speaker sometimes. You just need to play game with your you get your game and then you say something in English, right? If you want to check your speaking, I just use Google Voice Notes, for example, right? Or pronunciation checker here. Well, before I also, mostly taken my sources for teaching from BBC. It's more British English. NPR for more American sources. And for public speaking, of course, TED is very, recommended. Yeah, it's everyone's, favorite. Yeah. And also Toastmaster, I guess. Yeah, Toastmaster, TDM session. Sometimes, once in a while, I test myself, but not very often, probably only once in a year using, mostly I use TOEFL. And for speaking, I guess, yeah, there are so many tests actually, right? But you don't really have to take a test when it is not necessary for you. Like you take TOEIC, for example, you take TOEFL IBT, that is speaking, or IELTS test. When it is not necessary for you, why you should need to learn the skill here? Because the strategies for test taking purposes will be different. But for me, I just use everyday English. Speaking, commenting, right? Saying things in English. Yeah, I try to, to maximize the use of the English I know in my everyday life. That's why I said before, not only speaking, probably sometimes you need to write something in English. But I believe most of you write things in English, right? In your posting, for example, yeah, Instagram, Twitter, and in your Facebook, for example. I think it's just our daily activities. Everything can be used for, polishing our speaking skills. Yeah. So the point is, like in the previous slide, I do it every day, or at least you do it very frequently. That is why I said that CEEC session like this, and they do it regularly every week. This is for very good, opportunity, very good session. I kind of like it it's very appreciate this kind of, productive session, everybody. You still maintain your English until today. Yeah. You are not going to lose it. And you don't really realize that in time, for example, in 1 year or 2 years from now, and then you are suddenly automatic users of English, very fluent. Right? So That is my last part, sorry. Guidelines. Guidelines here is for more actionable with rules. I take it from theory also, right? It is already been studied also by ELT researchers. These are the micro skills that we have to learn to improve our speaking, right? For example, tempo and speed here. You know, the average of speaking skill of by American speaker is more than 200. I think speaking too fast is not nice, right? Average speaking podcaster or radio hosts are around 150 words per minute. Yeah, I am maybe below 150. I used to speak a lot faster than that, but I think it's not very good for teaching. That's why I try to slow down my speaking, and now I can set my moderate tempo like this for speaking. I think this is for, you know, comprehension for my audience will be better, right? And then there is a certain training for that too in my training center. Clarity of ideas, make it clear, like with IBC or with certain organization. We also have special training to drill you with how to, for example, organize ideas for presentation, how to classify, how to give example, how to contrast, how to differentiate, yeah, how to show problem solving and so on. Yeah, it takes training, it takes, you know, time to practice with that. But the thing is, everybody like it keep it short and simple, especially in business setting. People are so busy, you don't want to be wasted your time, right? You need something clear and concise and informative, yeah? And then word stress here, problem, most of the time, when I see it, number one problem in speaking with, in my speaking classes too, and also pronunciation. And the rest is expression, like the visual here, the body language, the hand gestures. I'm still working on this too. So it seems like it is like a lot here. That's why it takes years for some people to master that. And somebody who has already got the probably the talent or the capacity, they can just easily with short training, and then they can be just like, you know, rising star here. But for me, yeah, because I take it so slowly, so yeah, just kind of enjoying the process and takes patience, of course. But this is, of course, something that can be learned, something that can be trained. So don't worry. All you need is time and also passion of learning. Yeah. So this is actually just some sample in my class here, like focusing on the verb for speaking in English, right? Sing a song, right? I'd love to. I've heard of it. So, you know, with the small box here, you don't put stress on this. I want to know, right? So this is common in American speaking too, in British too, it's clear expression, right? She asked me to go. Come on, right? With that kind of melody, that kind of rhythm or intonation. I think it will be fine. So how do you know that? Of course, you have to listen a lot, right? You have to watch movie a lot. I like to watch drama or comedy. It helped me a lot with my conversational English. So figure out what is your plan or your purpose of speaking, and then you figure out your kind of input specifically needed for your, you know, skill to be mastered, right? Because this is just example here. I have one sentence. When you give different stress in the word, and then it will change the whole meaning of the sentence. For example, the Greens will never agree to that. The Greens, not the red, not the other team, not the blue, not those other people, but you say the Greens will never agree to that. So you're focusing on the subject here. When you say the Greens will never agree to that, so the Greens will never is given stress here. That means never ever, yeah, not sometimes, not occasionally, yeah, not once in a while. The Greens will never agree to that. So different meaning, right? So the Greens will never agree to that. So you focus on the word agree. This sentence has certain meaning too, right? Will never disagree, right? Will never oppose, will never hate, will never despise. So see that this stress pattern also give, certain meaning to your, sentence. I call that, what is it? Connotation, yeah? The grid will never agree to that, not other thing, not this, not one thing. So here's the thing, sometimes people do not really aware of that, but of course it takes process to understand these micro skills. Yeah? We also have other things with pronunciation, but we don't have much time for it. So I think I can, but I'm just open with a question and, feedback from you all here. I think that's all for my presentation. Is it 30 minutes, Mr. Haika? I'm afraid it's too long. All right, so thank you. I return it to Mr. Haika. Thank you.
I thank you very much for Ms. Effie for the amazing and exquisite explanation about how to speak like a star, which means that for the Q&A session today, as the topic is how to speak like a star, I would really like for the participants to ask the question directly to Ms. Effie using the raise hand feature, or maybe some of you have already asked in the chat. You can raise your hand and then ask directly to Ms. Effie. I think for this session, I will open the question for 2 participants. Maybe there are 2 questions from the participant, or maybe a comment or a slightly topics that you want to talk about to Miss Effie about how to speak like a star.
Oh, by the way, Mr. Haika, how about the result of the polling that you did before?
Yeah. Since the participants are thinking clearly about the question right now, ma'am, I think we will have to open for the poll result about, please choose one of the following factors you fear the most to speak English. Yeah, since this is actually the problem that people are somehow feeling when we want to speak English to someone, to our friends, to our colleagues, to our boss, to our partners, etc. We have some factors that actually hinders us from doing so. We have 6 factors from grammar mistakes, being misunderstood, wrong expressions and pronunciation, being mocked by the others, lack of confidence, and lack of vocabulary. And for the highest factors is the lack of vocabulary, followed by lack of confidence, and for the lowest part is being mocked by the others. I think I will have to ask the question myself as the moderator of the topics, how to overcome the fear to speak English, especially if we have lack of vocabulary and lack of confidence in speaking English, Miss Effie, since maybe most of us feel this kind of things every time we want to speak English.
Okay, right. So the first question is from the moderator. Okay, that is a very, I call that is not surprising result. Yeah, as you give them option 2, right? They just click, yeah, in the poll here. But maybe I can share you. I kind of have something here in my. I have extra slides to show you here. Okay. So let me just share thing that I have here. This is actually, I can share this slide to you if you want to, everybody. Can you hear, sorry, can you see it clearly from your place? It takes time to make a slideshow. Yeah, Penny is the, the writer of Handbook of Language Teaching here. Yeah, it's very common name here. She said, according to her many research around countries here, yeah, speaking difficulties for people, she categorized that into 4 here. First is inhibition. What you put just now with your polling, so many fear, right? So like fear of, making mistake with my grammar is limited, my vocabulary is limited. So inhibition is something that limits yourself in doing the skill here or speaking here. So fear of making mistake or criticism or losing face. This is very common too, right? I'm just afraid that people will laugh at my mistake here, because like I think it's kind of culture here. I mean, people laugh at people's, faults or mistake here, or just simply shy of all attention to him or to her here. I think this is common too. Now people are so extroversion. Yeah, some people are introverted, but I think this is already agreed across countries too. So you are not alone, everybody. This is the fact. But the thing is, what you should do now. The second is, according to Penny earlier, nothing to say. Blank probably, or just cannot think of anything. But I said before speaking, you have to think clearly, right? So because of you don't have time to plan, for example, you don't have time to think of any kind of preparation. It is sudden or impromptu. So you just blank, cannot talk of anything. Of course, it hinder you from conversing or speaking, right? Or maybe you have low or uneven participant. One is so talkative, the other is so silent or so shy, or one is so dominating in a group. In this presentation, I'm given time, 30 minutes. Of course, I'm dominating first. Or maybe in a large group, when somebody is so dominant and then you are not going to talk. I just want to listen a lot. Then I want to be a receptor here. Or you just don't given a chance at all. That's why people are so reluctant to speak. You have problem in speaking. Or next is mother tongue use. It's easier and more natural to them, right? Me also, I also don't speak English to my kids, but now my kids are teenagers, grown up, and then they say that why you never teach us English? Because I said it's not so natural communication at home, right? But apparently my kids all they know English. They can sing English song. They can talk, chat with their friends easily because of technology, right? So to me, at home, I still speak Japanese with my kids. I'm using Japanese at home. But in my professional setting, I will just use English. So sometimes code switching, in interference between my English and my Japanese. But this is common problems. So your question is, how I can, for example, number one, inhibition, right? How can I, I don't need to have that feeling, right? How can I eliminate that? So actually, to me, for myself here, I'm not going to put myself too high target or too high standard, because that will be making me more nervous. The thing about your communication skill, especially speaking skill, everybody, you have to know your existing state too, right? This is by Penny or is the classroom actually if it is in a classroom setting. So, but we can elaborate answer to that. Yeah, Penny said that in classroom, students need to feel comfortable with the people they are speaking to. So probably for your next plan, if you want to speak, you have to speak with comfortable environment. Like this one, I think this is a good chance for us to speak with all Indonesian speakers. I think it's a good opportunity for us, right? Yeah, we don't feel embarrassed or shy because we have the same passion to use English in our conversation. Right? I think it's a very accommodating environment for you all here. So the demands of the speaking task should be well within your students' ability. In my classroom, especially for PKM stand student, I'm not going to put it too high. I mean, it doesn't have to be a prepared talk or presentation every week, but sometimes we just, acting from the script or a dialogue. They just read the dialogue and then practice with that. Or just reading aloud a text, textbook especially, right? Or we just do communicative games in classroom. Sometimes we just do singing together, or, only for a project that I ask them to make a serious project. Like, for example, you have to interview native speakers, interview strangers you find in public places. That is a group work naturally. But I'm not going to, give tasks that is beyond my students' ability. You too. For example, you wish to be a 5-star speaker and your now condition is 2. Do not put it 5-star first in the short-term plan. I think make it like gradually. So this year, this month, I have to be 3-star speaker, and then next year 4-star, and so on and so forth. So within your ability, it's not going to stress you out, right? It's not going to make you depressed with failure, for example. I think you have to gain control of your anxiety too, right? And your student needs to know they can succeed. I think, yeah, this is related to motivation. What do you think, guys? Motivation, yeah. Why you want to be able to speak here? And then you say to yourself that you can succeed here. Your student need to know their speech will be well received, will be easily understood, and people will say positively about their speaking. Yeah. So, and activities should be interesting and fun too. Yeah, I think, yeah, I have mentioned that before. I just try to make classes fun for them to be able to produce something with their English. So I think maybe my stop sharing here. To me, I think you just don't set your standard too high for a short-term plan, I guess. I can succeed in many things, but not everything, right? So that is my rule of thought for me to calm down my nerves, actually. So maybe this thing is not for me, but I'm still working on it. I'm not going to lose hope. I'm going to keep on going here. And then you try to work on project or maybe activities that provide you success, will result in success, to bring you positive feeling, right? Yeah, because you have to be reminded about your own success in learning, right? Oh yeah, I can master this vocabulary. I know how to speak this thing. I know the meaning of this. I know this song lyric. So when you remember your success factor, is going to give you more motivation to try more here. So you need to secure affirmation, I guess. With this, I think opportunity speaking with this group of people, I think this is so amazing, environment, right? So this is my tips, yeah. To talking to my student, secure affirmation for them. I want them to write, I am blah, blah, blah. And then I can blah, blah, blah. And I will blah, blah, blah. Can you think of it? You can write down in your paper too, yeah. For example, I am a worthy person, yeah, and I can learn this conversation. I can learn this list of vocabulary, and I will study this tonight. I will study this next week more effectively and so on. But the thing is, you have to make at least affirmation to yourself. This is what I do. Yeah, I am, I can, and I will. And that works for me. Yeah. I hope that answers Heike's question. Is there any other questions from the audience here? We have 27 participants with the organizing committee. Yeah. Anyone ready with questions?
For the second question, actually come from the Honorable Presidents of CEEC community, from Ms. Tunjung.
Ms. Tunjung, please.
And ask directly to Ms. Effie the question.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity, Haikal. Thank you, Ms. Effie, for the thorough presentation. And I really like this topic because this is public speaking, especially in English, is like I'm frightening from some people and me as well, because there are so many things in my head that I think it really needs to be prepared first before I speak. For example, like before ask you this question, I write it down in my notes, every word and every sentence that I want to speak, because I don't want any mistakes in the grammar or in misunderstanding of the audience, especially. And that's why I always write beforehand. But sometimes we are faced with the impromptu speak situation, like you said earlier. Like, for example, after a presentation and the audience asks something about our presentation or something out of the box. And suddenly we stumbled, we have no clues to answer. So do you have any tips for facing that kind of condition? Thank you so much, Bu Evi.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Tunjung, for your question. I think it is common problems too, yeah, for us here. We don't know the answer to someone's question, for example. When it is a kind of a presentation, you can always play for time, right? Ms. Tunjung is from my TOT class, yeah. Probably I have already sampled that, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, first off, of course, you need time to think. When it comes to you still need time to think, you can always ask your audience, yeah, let me just think for a second, or you just do something like speaking, like praising somebody. That's a good question, yeah, while you are processing the answer. Or, yeah, be honest. If you just cannot think of the answer right now, you can always assign that to your participant. I mean, the audience, the floor too. Can anybody willing to share, or is there anyone willing to share first their opinion, the answer to that, before I give my own personal opinion or personal answer? I sometimes do that too. So I sometimes, because sometimes you just need longer time to process. Not because you don't know the answer to that, but you just need some kind of, stimulus, right? Stimulus from other people. And then you come with your own understanding, your own concept. And it is so common in, in professional setting. I mean, giving the chance for other audience to give you answer, yeah, to a difficult question. For my part, when it is a tough question, I will say it. I try to be honest. That is a tough question. That is actually a compliment to the questioner, right? You admit that that is a good question, and also thinking, playing time, thinking about the answer. Yeah. So you like to write, but sometimes writing is, taking several seconds of our time, right? So I just writing, I have this concept in my mind. The way I make notes is always using diagram, but in this, I have mental picture in my part, but probably because it takes years for me to learn writing, so I can accustomed to writing, so sometimes I just have the picture. But what about if it is blank? So you can always suggest later on answer. So you can always suggest, I think I have remembered that information in this book, and I think I will refer you to that after this presentation probably. Or you can say, I'm sorry, I don't have the answer to that right now. I cannot think of the answer right now. It's all right, actually, it's not embarrassing. Yeah. That's why speaking, especially in public with discussion, I once practiced that with, panelists, yeah, Asia Pacific. It's also like, life and death situation too, yeah. But from the very beginning, I try to calm down the nerves. So when it comes to question, I can just, think clearly. But to some part that I just cannot answer, I just say, I'm sorry, I'm going to give the answer later on to you personally after the presentation. I think it is common, it is not embarrassing. Yeah, that is a good question. Or probably from the audience here have, a share of better ideas. It's possible. Yeah, I want to hear from people here. That's what I normally do is just, I admit that I don't have the answer right now. That is not embarrassing to me.
I'm sorry, Miss Effie. Mr. Sandri has just raised hand.
Yes.
Okay, Mrs. Effie. Oh, I want to know the tips and trick from you. The problem when we want to speak in English is we know what we want to say, but suddenly when we want to talk or when we want to say the words, this is the example. I know what I want to say, but I cannot easily choose the right words. So what is the your tips or your answer for this kind of situation that we usually meet, usually have in a kind of speaking.
Okay, thank you. I copy that. Yeah, it's a common problem too. Yeah, it just in in the tip of your tongue. Yeah, but you just cannot speak it out. Yeah, you can speak it. It's common, but you can always use non-verbal now. Everybody, especially when it is face to face. Yeah, you can ask your partner. Yeah, I mean, I want to say this, and then you describe. So there are so many ways to convey your meaning. Yeah, this is my experience, Pak. Sorry, what's your name? I cannot remember your name. So, Pak Sandri. Yeah. Okay. The thing is, sometimes you need other partner to help you when you have a participative partner or a positive partner. They are going to be willing to help you to find out, to figure out the right word. But for me, I try to use my body language just in case when it is possible. Of course, not all words can be explained with body language, but I try to describe that. The tools that we are going to use to make coconut smaller. What do you call that? It is common when you just involve and try to interact with question and answer like that. I think this works for me most of the time when I just lost what word to say. But for Pak Sandri, probably, yeah, I think you can also try with testing. Yeah, ask, maybe like games, right? Ask somebody to ask you a word, and then you are to describe that. There are so many games, speaking games, for you to be able to say what you mean by this word. It's actually, it's not embarrassing, Pak Sandri. It's just you need somebody, a prompter, to help you to figure out the word. And if you cannot stop, if you cannot find it, yeah, you can use, you can halt or stop for a while, and then I need to consult my dictionary. It's all right. It's all right, actually. Yeah. Once in a while, it's okay. Yeah. When it is most of the time, probably you have to work on with other receptive skills also. Yeah. Once in a while, it's quite okay. Yeah, we can do that, my tips. But when it is too often, I just cannot, most of the time, cannot figure out the word. Probably you have to read a lot first. Yeah. And then after you read, you discuss what you have read. You retell what I have learned from this. It's okay. You have to need partner. In this case, you need a special person to study with you. Pak Sari, that is my tips here.
Okay.
So you need, companion, yeah, in your speaking. That is interesting.
The second, Mr. Haikal, it is not a question, but it's a statement.
No.
I just want Mr. Tunjung, in the CEC, we already have a group of public speaking and conversation. And I didn't hear a lot of information about the activity. So I propose the group of speaking and conversation is to be continued, and we make a plan to make a more practice, because I think the key is how we get a lot of practice. Isn't that right, Miss Effie?
Yes, practice is the key. You are correct, sir. So I call that every day. Actually, every day is, you have to do that repeatedly. So doing it every day is a kind of certain practice to you. So practice is like drilling how to speak the right words here. We do have that special training in our training center here. We have, like, in speaking class, we try people to use, for example, pronunciation, how to pronounce, for example, minimal pairs, how to pronounce, like aspirate sounds, like homophones, and so on and so forth here. Those are called micro skills. Some people don't really need that micro skill because they have already built that skill by everyday listening, for example. So certain training, I think, is important for people who want to develop the skills, the productive skill, one by one, yeah, step by step here. Maybe I can show you this, if it is all right here. Maybe some example, yeah, of sorry. Oh, I haven't stopped the screen sharing. Oh no, sorry. Which one? Let me find example here in my training center. Okay. Share screen first. I hope you can see it. Like people say that the problem with speaking is that when I listen to native speakers, they tend to speak so fast. Yeah. And then we try to explain their features because native speakers, they use connected speech. That's why their speaking is kind of fast and slowly, because they try to connect words. They are connected speech. Like, what is it about? It's very fast. And in Indonesia, we try to enunciate our word. What is it about? But when you listen a lot, actually, you can speak like British or American people. What is it about? It's like singing one, you know, one song, right? That's why singing a song is so important. A cup of tea, not a cup of coffee, a cup of tea. It is still, you know, enunciation one by one. It is not normal even in natural speech by native speaker. So where do you live? Where do you live? Where do you live? I think where do you live is like us Asian people, because we learn that from teachers, and then our teacher doesn't really listen a lot, and then they speak like that. But normally, you know, it's a bit, you know, connected speech. It's like singing a song, right? Flowing the way people speak here. Like if you say average, yeah, you know some word that it is your daily words, but sometimes the speaking is not right, and then you just cannot understand when the native speaker use it. Like you say average, but you say average, right? But the native speaker use that only two words, average, to what is it? To segment of sound here. Wednesday, almond, cemetery. There are so many ways. There are certain training for that. If you wish to learn that, maybe from BBC, there are so many actually. You know, fluentu.com. Yeah, it's good for learning with that connected speech. Or maybe like minimal pairs like this to say like sip and sheep is different, right? This is kind of minimal pairs need to be drilled. This is called micro skills. Yeah? Like pat and pal, yeah, bad and bad. So there are initial or middle or final pairs that, you know, some people find it difficult to differentiate the sound, so they need certain, you know, practice with that, yeah, certain drill with that, step by step here. Or maybe with expiration here, because, you know, it's unlike the way we speak it with our Indonesian language, and so on and so forth. So you just can find that on, you know, spatial training. And of course, it takes a lot of drilling to be able to speak that way with better pronunciation. But to me, I think that should not inhibit you from speaking. The thing is, you know what you are going to say, and you can make sure that others listening to you try able to understand you. I think that is a smooth flow of communication. So it can goes together, but micro skill and also, you know, relational skills. Something. That is a tough question actually. It's a good one, I think. Okay. Are you satisfied with the answer? Pak Sandri Kurnain. Thank you for your question, sir. Right. So
I think that's all for the first session of Q&A. I think we already have several great answers from Ms. Effie and several great questions from the participants on how to get better on public speaking and to get better at speaking in English in general. I think we still have time for another Q&A session for the second session. I think I will open for maybe one more questions from the participants. You can raise your hand through chat or through the reaction feature of Zoom, or maybe you have some insight or experience, or maybe something that you want to share to the forum today. you can just raise your hand and then just speak properly. Since this is a public speaking environment, Miss Effie have already encouraged us to speak English and to talk in English. So maybe the participants, if they don't have question, we can actually share the experience of learning English, doing public speaking, speaking in English in general. You can raise your hand.
So, Haikal, if there's no question, maybe if I may have time to respond to Mr. Sandri
Sure.
question about our group of conversation and public speaking. Okay, so Pak Sandri, unfortunately, public speaking and conversation groups were formed before the COVID-19, and we intended to meet like physically, and for I don't think that it will be optimal for us to make a conversation or public speaking group online. So I decided to move it to this kind of forum, like inspirational talk, where everyone is invited to listen and to speak up, speak out their mind in questions or in comments or discussion, and then to gather all of them in one and in two big CEEC WhatsApp groups. Unfortunately, we don't have enough resources to maintain those conversation and public speaking groups. But hopefully, if this pandemic is over, probably we can start all over again. But of course, we need the support from all of you guys, from the CEC members. If you really want to set public speaking and conversation groups, please, we need all support from you, because at the time before the COVID-19, we invited the members to come to the classes, but only a few of them that came. So it was so unfortunate for all of us and for the facilitator as well. The facilitator always came, but the members didn't come. I know that probably because it was in the working hours, in the working place, because all of you were busy. So I guess if we want to set up again those kind of groups, we should figure out the best time and the best place to set up. Okay, so if I'm so that's my explanation. So if I still have time, may I ask one more question to Miss Effie?
Sure, go ahead, Ms. Tanjung.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, Miss Effie, it's very interesting to know that in English there are so many like intonation and then stress difference put in the verbs or adjective or in the noun. It will be it will feel different, and like you said that some words should also be pronounced like what is it in connection with others. So my question is, how important is it to learn those kind of those kind of features for us? I mean, like you said that to the most important thing is to say what we want to say and to make the audience understand. But yeah, probably it is better if we can master those kind of features. But yeah, my question is, how important is that for English foreign learners to master them? Okay, thank you so much, Miss Effie.
Okay, that is an interesting question, Ms. Tunjung. So actually like this, everybody, English is a foreign language, right? So actually you use that for universal communication, global communication around the world. So it is not just, apply to your own, for example, small community or small group here, but it gotta be able to be understood globally or universally among, people across countries here. The thing is, the major problem is that two things about speaking, right? Fluency and accuracy. And we just cannot select which one. Yeah, we both two has go together. Yeah, fluency and accuracy. You cannot just be so fluent, but without accuracy, maybe native speaker cannot understand you. Yeah, or you are to focus with accuracy, but you are not so fluent, and then you just pause to open and you just speak so slowly. It's not going to be a nice communication as well. So therefore, practice is very important using native speaker, because that is the natural way of using the language. Yeah. So, and then it gotta be regularly every day, because this will help you to be understood with many people around the globe here. And the thing is, why I necessitate my students to do that. Actually, yeah, they have also need to have target, right? So and also they need to have to experiment with the English they know. For example, after listening this and then I try to speak like that, can I do that? They have to experiment that too, to have the feeling of a better accomplishment with their English. So because there are always the next level of English. Once you have already mastered basic English, you have to go on continue with your intermediate English, right? After you master your intermediate, you have to still go on with your advanced English and so on and so forth. That is the necessity in life too. That's why, I say it is important, accuracy using native speaker, because you have to try to other people to try that with other people from different countries, for example, to know how they respond to what you say to them, for example, or how people say to you in response to what you are speaking after you learn that specific language. So to me, these two, accuracy and also fluency, both goes together. But of course, relax. Yeah, it takes plans after this, of course. Yeah, how to maintain that and set your own goal, everybody. No need to rush. For me, I said before, it's a lifetime learning for me. I'm not going to stop speaking English like this, because I think it's important for my professional setting. So yeah, keep on going, guys. Don't worry. But using Bule or native speaker, I think is mandatory, as you want to reach out to more people, to be understood with people, internationally, right? Okay, good question. Oh, by the way, I'm going to respond to, the pandemic situation here. In my training center, we design PJJ, pembelajaran jarak jauh, or distance learning here, actually. It's kind of alternate training. We normally do that, face-to-face traditional classroom, right? With PJJ here, we just make it like there is you are given free of, certain ST, right, to go to this training. So you don't have to do that in office. You can do that at home, learning at home, given specific time, for example, 5 days in a week or 2 weeks training. When you ask that to DPPK or PETA, yeah, DG Custom has to DPPK to assign a training, special training, and there is a PJJ or distance learning. There are two things, yeah, with your synchronous learning and asynchronous learning. So before you come to class, there is asynchronous. We have already this design session planning scenario for learning. For example, within 5 weeks, this is your target. You have to learn this, and then before coming to class at 9, so then you have to do from 8 o'clock in the morning. It's like this. It's already been written and given to you, the materials. So this is actually demanding on your, independent study as well. Yeah. But we can always, try to, modify our training. It doesn't have to be, coming to class right now. Here, several months here, we have already done that with some training. So probably you can figure out, if you want to ask a certain training for English especially, you can ask that from DG Customs. Okay, that's my additional response to your Pak Sandri before needs here.
Thank you, Ms. Effie, for the answer and the additional response to the earlier statements. Maybe there's last question for the 14th inspirational talks today from the participants to Ms. Effie. Since this is a rare opportunity to ask directly to an expert public speaker.
Haikal, I guess Mr. Zuman has an information for us.
Okay, but Miss Dina Masrura just raised hand before, so maybe Miss Dina goes first, and then Miss Zuman, Mr. Zuman. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. My question is, do you have any tips, Effie, if there will be a change that we will accompany people who is higher position us, or we accompany people who is our guests, maybe from foreign country, and do you have any tips to start conversation? Because it is important for building any network, maybe, because I think it's not cool to start conversation with maybe only talking about weather or something like that. Thank you.
Okay, interesting. You mean like the opening, or polite remarks to begin a conversation thing? Yeah. Depending on the relationship, with the partner you are speaking to, I think. But this is the thing, quality of speaking, everybody, because people always say, if it is business setting, I have to speak like this with this certain norm and so on and so forth. It depends also. Although it is business setting, when you are closer to that person or intimate, right? So you can be a bit, casual in your language too. Yeah. So, but I think, when it is, not very close friend, you cannot ask like, what's up, dude, right? What's up, dude? Do that, for example. No, right? You can say with, saying like general thing to break the ice, like, I think now it's so hot here in the room, I think, and then you can also, continue that with conversation, right? What I want to emphasize here, we do have language register, right? That understanding. And we also have special training how to change the language, from this neutral to become more formal. Like for example, changing the vocabulary, the verb, for example, or changing the noun with certain word, list of words. There are certain ways to do it, and it can be easily learned. But the thing is, qualities in communication, or especially speaking, we have to figure out that first. I think there are 5 qualities, if I'm not mistaken, from the video. Number 1 is openness. I mean, you are being open. I mean, being honest with your own opinion, your own, idea. Like in my view, I think. So to begin with, you can say, I think now it's so hard. Yeah. So I think it's a good way to open a conversation. Yeah. Secondly, besides openness, you have to show empathy, right? To somebody becoming your partner in speaking. Empathy, like, I know that he is thinking, I just have to wait, for example. Or she is trying to explain, I have to wait. Empathy, like being in the same situation, being in the same shoes, you know that you have to be patient to somebody. Yeah, right. And the third is supportiveness. Supportiveness is like, yeah, supportiveness can happen if you have openness and empathy to somebody. I mean, you are like, you know, advising, suggesting people to be more open like you, like asking them back questions, right? Or saying your concern, saying how you feel about something. It is like supportiveness. Supportiveness can happen if you have empathy and openness. And the third, no, sorry, number four. Number four is positiveness. I think in all, you know, situation it is needed. Positive is be kind, be nice here. I mean, it's not with negativity. You know, negativity, yeah. You are, you know, resentful, for example. You dislike or just saying, keep saying no to yourself or to somebody's opinion. I think this is being negative. Just being disagree all the time, or just like skepticism or cynicism. I think it's not positive. Yeah. So the next quality of speaking is also equality. Yeah. Both we are all equal. We have the same party. We have the same position. I mean, yeah, you have higher rank than me, but we are the same as human, right? The difference is just our take-home pay, probably. But we are equally important in this conversation, in this speaking. We exchange ideas, right? You listen to me, I listen to you, and I can be, you know, we can, you know, opposing our ideas, but actually it's fine, it's common. The thing is you are being understood. You are saying your feeling. Yeah. I'm just saying my opinion. I hope you are not offended. Yeah. And when you are open to that, I think this is a good quality of speaking, yeah, or conversation. So don't worry, it doesn't have to be with very formal language. It has to be, you know, the right situation too. Yeah. Sometimes people are too, you know, inhibit himself, right, or herself. That here's my boss, I cannot speak like this. No, just don't limit yourself with, you know, personal inhibition like that. So you never know if you don't allow yourself a chance to speak up, right? You just give it a try. As simple as that, actually, yeah. So practice just need confidence and willing to take chances. Yeah, as simple as that. Thank you, Ms. Dina. That is very interesting question.
Thank you, Ms. Effie, for the answer for the question from Ms. Dina. I think Ms. President said that there's a statement from Mr. Zuman for the last statement or question, maybe from Mr. Zuman.
Mr. Zuman, we are waiting for you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Miss Evie. Actually, I have my biggest problem is lack of confidence, so that I cannot turn my video on. Yeah, I just yeah, it's my question how to minimize the lack of confidence, because I think it make me difficult to find someone or friends to speak with, because I don't confidence anymore. And like Ms. Tunjung said before, I just want to share an info about how to practice English every day, because in earlier Mr. Sandri asked also about practice in practice. So in last month, I have already joined a program that I found in Instagram. Maybe some of you have know the programs also. It's POTS. It stands for voice notes. So it's a content about 6 people in one group, WhatsApp group, and one facilitator. So every day we get a trigger from the facilitator that must be answered in that day. So if we have answered the trigger, the facilitator will give feedback or comment about or asking about our answer, and it make us have conversation in that day. It for 3 weeks, and I think it's so helpful, and yeah, it's interesting also. Maybe CEEC also make or copy paste that program that we can launch in DCE, because the program is held by my friends in DGP or taxation, and yeah, I think it's not it's also good for us to yeah copy paste saat or something like that. Thank you.
So it's kind of like you are suggesting a speaking event or activity, yeah, to us all here. That is nice. I think suggestion, and you can adopt that and use that probably for your practice, yeah, with your own space, with your own pace, with your own need, right? I think this is good, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zuman, for the suggestion. I think Miss President has already considered the idea of creating a group chat and also creating a certain environment to speak English more informally and less less strict rules on the topics. So I think the Q&A session has already ended, and also we are reaching to the end of the 14th inspirational talks with the theme, again, how to speak like a star. So as a moderator, I am inclined to give certain remarks or summary for the whole event. I'm sure we already have a lot of topics, a lot of ideas on how to speak like a star, as Miss Effie has amazingly explained how to properly engage in a conversation or in a topic. So from the very beginning, to speak and to speak well is actually a bit different, which means that we have to engage in a certain ideas to actually speak well. And there's a big difference between speaking and writing. In writing, we are actually, considering grammar and stuff, but in speaking, we have a lot of stuff to actually engage in a conversation. To speak, we have the tone, we have the expression, we have the gesture, we have pretty much our body language to explain to people. So there's a difference between writing and speaking is to convey our ideas to other people, to convey our thinking, our thoughts to other people through a verbal means. And then for the next part is to speak like a star. Star is actually an abbreviation from situation, task, attitude, and result. So the situation, we have to be a really conscious people about the situation that we're put in, whether it's informal situation or a formal situation, whether it's a grieving moments or a happy moment. So we have to be a really mindful about our surroundings, about how, where are we standing right now to speak. If we're talking in informal situation, we use this kind of words. If we're talking in a formal situation, we use this kind of words. So there's like a bit different settings from we are talking. From the graph, there's a different topic, impersonal and interpersonal. Like, we're not gonna talk about our sad moments to our boss, or we're not gonna talk the same as we talk to our husband, wife, or lover with our taxi driver. So the situation matters the most. We don't want to spill our secret to a taxi driver for sure. And then we have the task and attitude. It's a bundle, which means that our attitude defined by the task of the speaking that we're gonna say. Let's say we're going to influence someone to join our maybe a cult or MLM program that is, to fool someone. We have to influence. We need the right attitude. To influence someone, we need to use a certain tone to make sure that people actually believe what we're saying. Even we lies, if we say it really convincingly, people will believe us. So that means that the speaking with the right tone, the right gesture, the right eye language, body language will actually influence people. So the task and the purpose of our speaking can define how our attitude or approach in speaking. And then the last part of the STAR abbreviation is the result that we want to achieve, or the result that we expect from the speaker. We already have 3E from Miss Effie, and then lots of participants have already insert the idea of what do they expect from speaking, their effectiveness, enthusiasm, and ease. So when you listen to someone, you're actually expecting them to explain something in a very effective way, enthusiastically, and ease. Since if a presenter said in a boring way, you will lose enthusiasm, and maybe you're just running away and then just maybe sleeping when the presentation going. And then not only that, there are salient features of speaking. Pleasing voice consists of tone, tempo, pace, or how you speak it, and then the friendly or interactive manner, the clarity of language, and intelligibility of thoughts and ideas. So no matter how good your idea is, if you can't convey it and then speak it properly, no one's gonna understand that. So to speak properly, to speak like a star, it means that you have to convey your ideas with the clarity of language, the manners, the body gesture, the tempo, the pace. And I think if we already do that, we will be a really, really good public speaker. And then Ms. Effie already shared the tips of improving English speaking skills, and also Mr. Sandri have already said it. The first is balance your receptive and productive skills. I think I want to insert my own idea, is to speak well is actually to listen well. You can't speak properly, you can't speak like a star if you can't listen to someone. You can't do that unless you balance your listening skill and speaking skills to understand the situation that you're in, to understand what kind of tone that I use. It means that we have to listen properly to whatever surrounding us. And then the second one is use native speaker sources. There are a lot of sources right now. It's different from back then. We don't have to go to a serious class. We can just listen to song on Spotify, listen to YouTube videos, and then use Netflix for movies and stuff, or maybe listen to news like BBC, CNN. And there are like a lot of stuff that is a bit different from learning from class. As Miss Effie has said, there's a difference in tone, in balancing the receptive skill. In class, in our, let's say, elementary school back then, we say, good morning, how are you, how do you do? That's how we said it back then when we were learning in school. So we expect those, the native speakers to talk like that. But in reality, they say, how do you do? What are you doing? Are you fine? Are you okay? And then it's become too fast. So we have to use the native speaker sources to actually improve our English language. There are a lot of stuff, YouTube vlogs, movies without subtitles, etc. And the last part is, as Mr. Sandri also said, we need to do it every day, practice every day. To practice every day, it means that you have to talk on your own self. I usually do this. I usually debate myself to sleep just for the, let's say I have a topic in mind and then I just talk to myself. I have a debate with myself. Maybe I record it just to make sure that I can actually enunciate or pronounce it properly. That's actually my experience. I usually look like a crazy person when I do that, since I talk to myself and debate to myself, but that's actually a great way of learning something. And then the last part is the how to speak like a star. We have to pay attention to several stuff: tempo, speed, word stress, pronunciation, and also expressions. Again, this is the stress part, that talking or speaking is actually you're conveying your thoughts from writing. In writing, we can see what they actually think or what they actually want to do. Let's say you read some chat from our colleagues or maybe bosses. We can't actually see, are they actually angry at me? Do I actually do something wrong with our works, or do I actually do something wrong? But maybe in reality, when we're speaking, oh, it's actually a happy tone. So use it properly to speak like a star. Use the gesture, use the eye language, use the body language, use the tone, use the maybe a word stress. And the last part is, Miss Effie has already said about the stress patterns. The stress patterns is we stress on words that we actually want to convey our ideas to. Let's say about the example will be the Greens will never agree to that. From one sentence, you can actually make a certain stress topics from one sentence, which means that there are a lot of things that we actually have to learn about in English language. And then I think from the Q&A session, I will add a little bit about the speaking well. Is actually the first one is know your audience. So whether you like it or not, the setting or the situation, it means that we have to understand our audience. We have to understand the situation that we put in. If we talk to the higher ups or the bosses, we have to how to speak properly like that. So we have to understand our audience properly. And then for the impromptu or maybe a sudden, let's say we have to do a public speaking in a short time and we don't have something to write, then that comes from the how before. We use our body language to actually speak in English. We use our hands, we use our head, we use our body, we bob, we do everything to make sure that people understand what we are talking about. And then about the difficulties of actually learning English, how are we actually, scared of talking in English? Everyone makes, I think the most important part that we have to understand is everyone makes mistakes. We can't do it perfectly on one try. Everything happens on a process. Everything happens gradually. We have to be progressively better and better and better. So actually start something, start doing it. We don't have to be a perfect speaker right away. It's a gradual process. We have to understand that. We don't have to be shy. We don't have to be afraid to speak our minds. We have to be really confident with ourselves, because one of the key of the public speaker, not only the star, but also the confidence. Without the confidence, the whole idea of star public speaker is just falls apart. We just looks not convincing. We just look like someone who is talking in a really boring and a really not interesting situation, and we don't want that when we try to talk to someone. I think maybe that's the summary that I can get from the whole 14th inspirational talks, how to speak like a star. That's all for the session today. Thank you, Miss Effie, for a great remarks from how to be a public speaker, how to speak like a star. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And then thank you for the organizing committee for organizing this kind of interesting topics that we actually, as a civil servant, one way or another have to do it, to talk to someone or to help someone, as Ms. Effie has said. Thank you for all the participants for the active participations and also for the active questions, remarks, statements. And I think this is a healthy environment for discussion, a healthy environment for talking in English, and I'm glad that we have this thing going on for a really long time. Thank you very much, and I'm really sorry if I have a really a bad way of expressing something, or maybe I tend to make jokes that is not in the situation, inappropriate situation. I'm really sorry. I just want to make this talks a bit interesting, and people get really high spirit when joining this session. Thank you very much. Once again, thank you very much for the attention. The time I give back to the organizing committee, or Miss Inti. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much, moderator here. Actually, I haven't finished my presentation. Maybe I'd like to highlight with my last slide, but everybody can see that when you have already got my material. So it's actually in my last slide here. So to define as a closing remark from me too, can I share my slides a little bit here? So star speaker to me is somebody who can speak with clarity. Are you already a clear speaker or not? Yeah. So, and then you have to think critically and mindfully. Like I said before, that speaking has to be conscious, to be mindful. So you have to create, you have to plan, you have to design it so it can be received effectively. And I believe that, Haikal, you are speaking better than I am actually as a, star speaker of the day. Big hands to you. I like it so much here. And you make recent choices here. Yeah, and you select words very good and very nicely. Good summary, yeah, and very comprehensive. I like it. And the last year, I haven't explained it very detailed, but since nobody asked about that, and the thing is the last thing, ethical and culturally aware. But this is also in relation with the last question, talking about our sensitivity, yeah, about with the the environment and everything here. So this is actually my plan, my dream to become a star speaker. So hopefully that this will works for you to some extent. You are going to copy this, and this can be your next action plan. Yeah, after this speaking, and thank you CEEC and Customs. Thank you all, everybody here for listening to me. So I just finish up my presentation. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, CEEC. Yeah, thank you very much.
Do we need to have a photo session, ma'am?
All right.
Probably before that, Ipti, on behalf of members, Ms. Afi, I'd like to give you a certificate of appreciation for a very thorough and inspiring session today. Host, could you please show the screen? Yeah, I think the topic today is so related to our job. Sometimes we have to, or many times we have to speak in front of the public, and ongoing we are facing the international occasions for customs to excise. So I think English is a very important thing to master. Didi, do you have it?
Oh, sorry, ma'am. Mr. Randy, where's Mr. Randy?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Please help us with the certificate, Mr. Randy. Hello, Randy, are you there? Earth Randy?
Okay.
Okay,
Maybe if
thank you.
you don't have it, probably it's a bit later. So this is an appreciation for Ms. Effie that you are a public speaking or English public speaking expert, that you share to us your knowledge here. And also a big round of applause for Ms. Effie, for all of us, from all of us here. And also Haikal as a moderator. You are it's always nice to have you back our forum in CEEC forum to have to listen to your fluent spoken English. I think we should think about more stages for you to shine. Okay. So, and also for all the audiences, thank you for your active participation. I think I hope that this kind of forum can ignite your eagerness to learn and practice English actively as DGCE also in international environment. Oh, okay. This is yeah. So this is a certificate of appreciation for Miss Effie Dia Indrawati. Okay, later on, maybe, yeah. Thank you so much, all. Yeah,
Oh, that's very nice.
As a speaker in our 14 CEC's inspirational talk. Thank you so much, Miss F. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have remarks for all of the members here?
Oh, with open hand, I received this. I'm truly honored to be invited and to receive this certificate, actually. Yeah, really appreciate this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And also for the moderator today, Haikal. We have also a certificate of appreciation. I think this is the third certificate of appreciation for you, Haikal.
Wow.
Since you've been very active in moderating our session.
It's really a star, yeah.
Right.
That's very good.
Yes, yes. Okay. And thank you so much. Our organizing committee, Inti as the event coordinator. Also, we have a certificate of appreciation for you, and also Didit as our co-host, as our host always, and Randy as our co-host, and also Dina for your lovely designs as always in our events, and also Iswandi for letting us using your Zoom account whenever we need that. Thank you so much for all of the organizing committee that has the efforts to put all of things together. Okay, so I would like to give the control back to Inti, please. I think we have a photo session with all of the participants now, right?
Yes. Mr. Didit, could you?
Yep. Okay. I'm sorry. So we are going to take a screenshot of all of us. Will you please start your video if you wanted to get into the screen? If not, then I will just take your name of it. Okay. On my mark in 3, 2, 1. Okay, I got you. And then for the second one, in 3, 2, 1. Gotcha. Thank you all.
Thank you, Didit. Well, it's the end of our talk today. Once again, thank you, Ms. Effie, for your inspiring presentation. And the moderator, thank you for your good job. And for the organizing committee, thank you for your support. Well, have a nice day and see you in the next inspirational talk. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Inti.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. It's really a privilege for me.